Hello, everyone, and welcome to Artful Impact. Today's episode is episode number 9 with Joy Hopwood, and she's an acclaimed actor, award-winning independent filmmaker, known for her exceptional contributions to the industry. Her notable works are The Script of Life, Rhapsody of Love, and Get a Life Alright, all recognized with prestigious awards. Joy's talent extends beyond film, and she's been involved many years ago as our beloved presenter on ABC's television show called Play School. And now she's a contributing writer for esteemed publications like Growing Up Asian in Australia, Chinese Australian Women's Stories, and Reflecting on Life. She's a versatile filmmaker, written, directed, produced, a whole bunch of things. And she has a strong commitment to diversity in empowering female creatives. She's also continued to make waves in the Australian film industry, and now she's in production, well, in post-production, for her current project, The Gift That Gives, that features a stellar cast. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joy Hopwood. How are you?
Thank you, Maria, for that wonderful intro. Thank you very much for writing that.
You have such an exceptional profile, and especially when you've had your very humble beginnings, chasing down being a presenter on ABC and hustling and getting that, and now getting into filmmaking. Well, not actually getting into filmmaking. You've been doing probably 5+ feature films already, and continually, you keep on coming back to doing more of them, which is fantastic. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how you started, your humble beginnings as an actor, presenter, and then your transition into filmmaking?
Yeah, I started in the late 90s. I wanted to be a presenter on Play School after doing a workshop with kids, and they said, we would love to be in TV, but we don't see ourselves represented on TV or film. And I just blurted out, not thinking, saying, if I can get on Play School, then you can get anywhere and achieve your dreams. And they said, okay, well, let's see you do it. So I had to, follow through and move from Perth to Sydney, sold everything I had, and then I rang ABC, but they told me they only wanted NIDA graduates and known identities. And so I just built up my resume and started knocking, and I auditioned for an agent, Bedford and Pierce at that time, and I got in, and then I did a little, I wrote my own scene from Play School and sent it in, and I just hounded them for 6 months or so, and then they gave me an audition and said that I needed to get life experiences. So I was upset. I had my ET at the time, and I slammed the door and scratched his eyeballs out, and I was really upset, and I was crying on the bus all the way home, and I just had to be humble and just get more life experiences. And then I went back, and the second time I got in, and it was a great time in my life doing Play School, but then I realized that I only then got guest appearances on TV shows, and that there wasn't enough diversity, so I had to make my own content. So I started the annual Joy House Film Festival, which is trying to give a platform for emerging filmmakers, short film, and I made my own short films, and I then progressed into feature films. So that's how I started.
It's fantastic. Like, you are like the poster girl for getting to where you want, in the most unconventional sense. Like, you wouldn't take no as an answer. Like, you still kept on coming around and trying to find a way to get in. And for me personally, growing up, when I saw your face on Play School, I was like, oh, an Asian face, on screen, but not realizing how much of a journey it took for you to even get there. It wasn't like it was handed to you. You really had to find a way to do it. And you still have those amazing characteristics, the perseverance that you now have even put into your independent filmmaking sort of journey. Now, can you tell us a bit about how, drives you to, champion not only female creatives, but also to tell stories that promote inclusivity as well as empowerment? Is it based on a lot of your sort of a life experience of not seeing it and then realizing, you know what, I'm going to be a champion for a diversity? What was your journey on that?
Well, a lot of the content for my feature films are loosely based on experiences that I've, gone through. And so they're the storyline. And I've always wanted to champion diversity in front of and behind the camera and give opportunities for up and coming creatives. And so I wrote my first film that I wrote, directed and produced, The Script of Life, and I had 𝗔𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗥𝗪𝗓 and Erica Long as my leads, and it was a great learning curve for me, and it was a risk because I thought, I'll just give it a shot in the feature length, and if it doesn't get anywhere, or at least I gave it my best shot. And then it got picked up by 𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗏𝗪𝗏 Studios and then Herflix, and it won Best Romance at Amsterdam International Film Festival. So that gave me the confidence to do my next one. And then the next one was Rhapsody of Love, and I did that with my co-producer, which was 𝗛𝗛𝗓𝗏𝗪𝗏 Tawari. And when I approached her, she said, I'll do this film on the condition that our friendship remains intact. And that was really nice and humble and eagerness of her. So we did that, and we had our leads Kathy Liu and Damien Sato. And then after that, I did Get a Life All Right, and I co-wrote that with 𝗔𝗨𝗦𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏, who is in her 20s and an up and coming, again, emerging filmmaker. And I only caught up with her on Friday, and it's 2 years since we did that film. And she said, thank you so much, Joy, for giving me that opportunity, because it gave me 2 years of full-time employment for myself. In Canberra, she got, in production, she got a position there in Canberra, and she said the resume and the film helped having an associate producer and co-writing credit. And also it's helped Merit Hassan, who's also not a co-producer, an associate producer, and she is a producer now at ABC. And it's also helped Kat Dibley and also Katrina Thompson. So it's helped their careers too. So I'm really happy. So, it's taking people along the way.
That's amazing, because I think that what I'm hearing is that for you, the filmmaking, the process and also the ripple effects are quite impressive, because you really take note that the fact that the film isn't just a product and it needed to be perfect or anything, but like the fact that it has like these career trajectories for other, diverse faces and people from the community to, somehow get a bit of a push up in terms of the mainstream, which is such a great outcome to have. Now, for you, you're also not only like a screenwriter, but you also contribute writing in various publications, such as Growing Up in Asian in Australia, as well as Chinese Australian Women's Stories. Now, how does this type of writing sort of complement your work as a filmmaker? And what sort of the themes do you often explore in a lot of these types of writing?
Well, Growing Up Asian in Australia is an anthology of stories, and in my section I had a Q&A, and they were just asking about how my experiences of growing up Asian in Australia. And I told them my first week at school I experienced racism when I wanted to play with these Year 6 boys, and it was my first day at school, and the basketball just rolled out of the court, and I ran after it and gave it back to the Year 6 boys, thinking, oh wow, I did a good thing. And they said, hands off our ball, you ugly Jap. And so that was my first experience at school receiving racism. So I explored that in my piece for Growing Up Asian in Australia, and it was edited by Alice Poole, who's a really good friend of mine. And they took that for Reflecting in Life, which is also a publication by Pearson Education. It was part of the HSC, and they had to study that piece. And the other one was Chinese Women's Stories. Again, it was a chapter of my life growing up from teenage years to play school. So it's taking a snippet of my life. So I'm sharing experiences of racism, and they're explored in tertiary education and also studied upon for Year 12 students. So it's good that people get a snippet of what it's like growing up as a coloured woman or a coloured person, because a lot of people haven't experienced that. And I think you have to have humility and empathy in order to be a grounded and more a better human. So I think that's really good, a contribution that I'm very proud of.
Yeah. So I'm also seeing the fact that you're also quite an activist. Like, you're quite aware of, like, the context that we are in, as well as some of the challenges that face people of color when it comes to being in the entertainment industry, but not only that, just representation in general. Now, for you, like, in terms of the entertainment industry, and we know it can be very competitive and challenging. Now, what would you sort of suggest to sort of other aspiring actors as well as filmmakers when it comes to breaking into the industry? What sort of attributes do you think that they really need to have, especially to stay sustainable in the long term?
I think you have to have determination, you have to have passion and creativity, and also just collaboration with people who are on the same page and finding similarities, and people who has the same moral compass as yourself. Because if someone's opposite to you and is perhaps egotistical or narcissistic, if you don't have those attributions, it's not going to be a good framework or teamwork. So I always try and find people who share the same values as me in order to be part of my team, because it's filmmaking, and I guess anything that you do, it requires everyone working together, and you not one person, it's not just the director, producer, or the cinematographer who are the main people in the project. They are, but it's a collaboration. Everyone works together, and the better you are prepared and have that preparation and also determination and openness, I think that's how successful a project can be.
That's fantastic. Now, not only were you a former television presenter, contributing writer for books, making films, feature films, several of them quite successfully, you also run your own film festival. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that came about.
Well, a colleague actually said to me, Joy, I went to this film festival. It was diverse, but I felt really down after it because it really affected her emotionally. She said, it would be good if there was a film festival, a diverse one, that was more uplifting. And I said, oh, well, I'm going to create one. There's not one around. There's no diversity or film festival at that time in 2013 that has uplifting films. And I want to give filmmakers a chance to showcase their films. So I just created the Joy House Film Festival. So I did that, and it's in its 10th year, and we've given over $10,000 worth of prizes, and we're really happy to help the industry in that way, because when I started there was only one entrant that was diverse, so they automatically got that prize. But now it's grown, and I'd say at least 40 to 50% of the entrants are diverse. So I'm really happy to see that change in 10 years now, that diversity is at the forefront, not only actors but also creators behind the camera. So I'm really happy to be part of that change, the social change in our industry.
I feel like you've got multiple arms, and you're able to sort of make some sort of change in different areas of the creative process, and I find you very, multifaceted in that aspect. Now, going back to your independent filmmaking. Now, for the audiences who don't know, Joy Hopwood is pretty much I would dub her as the queen of Asian Australian rom-coms. Now, what got you to be quite in tune with this genre? Like, what was the appeal, and why did you feel like you wanted to keep on creating these types of films in that genre?
Well, I grew up loving, films by Nora Ephron, Nancy Myers, and I love, films with Meg Ryan in it. And I thought these films were wonderful, championing, women. But there was not any films with diversity, and I thought I'm going to try and do that when I get older. So that's what I tried and had a hand at, and I really enjoy it. I just love having, romantic comedies that are not only entertaining but have life messages, and 30% of the content is inspired by my real life situations, but also having actors and cinematographers like Linda Ong and just having that diversity in front and behind the camera, and everyone just working together and collaborating, and I'm just excited each year working with different people. I mean, next year I'm looking forward to work with Erica Long, who's an up and coming, and her film The Pool is already starting to get momentum and it's winning awards, and to have her on board as my team, I'm very excited, as well as my core group of creatives, Valentina Ostrobova, and also Lara Cross and Michael Gigolo, and my core team, and Linda Ong, and just have building on that and giving more people opportunities, and I'm really proud and excited to carry this forward, in future years, just bringing on board the next generation and seeing how we go. And I just think it's wonderful to have collaborations, especially when people have the same moral compass as myself.
Yeah. So, and now we're leading on to your next project, which is The Gift That Gives, that have already been finished when it comes to the film production side. You're in post-production. Tell us a little bit about this project without spoilers, and what audiences will be expecting in your next film.
Well, I have a great stellar cast. I've got Takai Honda from Neighbours. I've got 𝗖𝗛𝗓 𝗏 from Back to the Rafters. I've got yourself, Lex Marinos. I have 𝗤𝗡𝗦𝗡𝗏, as well as I have also, I've got you, and I've got Lily Brown Griffiths and Damien Sato, and many more. And I'm so excited to have it's like a whodunit, It's not only a romance comedy, there's a mystery, and a mystery of who wrote these secret love letters, and it's a journey from the beginning to the end, trying to find out who wrote these, and it's an angle that I haven't done in all my films. So that's like a whodunit, and also a love triangle, and it has comedy moments with yourself, Lex Marinos, and 𝗤𝗡𝗏, and I'm just excited for this to come out, because
it's a Christmas movie as well.
It's a Christmas movie. I know. So I'm trying to mix it up. I mean, Get a Life or Rights also being licensed to Channel 9, and that has great leads. It's got Eileen Wynn, and it's got 𝗵𝗛𝗘𝗦𝗡, and it's also got 𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗙𝗪 and Dilshan Rain and 𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗙𝗪, and that's loosely based on Bollywood. There's a section in that film that has a little bit of Bollywood, but it's also experiences of racism in the TV world, and Paul Hughes plays a real meanie. So I'm looking forward to that coming out on Channel 9 as well. So I have a lot of things in the pipeline, and I'm just excited to bring all these creatives and diverse, wonderful people along my journey.
And like for you, so this would be your 5th film? Would that be 5th feature or 6th?
No, 5th feature as a writer, director, producer for It's Our Time in January.
Oh,
for
yeah.
that one. Yeah. So
what
the gift that gives is my fourth. Yeah.
So, and what has there been any challenges that you've experienced in the other films that you're able to sort of take that as a learning curve to be able to fast track or at least mitigate it and not have to experience it for your current film? What's some of the things that you've done a little bit differently?
Well, in The Gift That Gives, I have some really, stellar cast that I haven't worked with before, the caliber of actors, and to have, 𝗔𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗥𝗔𝗡 from Neighbours, who's able to just switch into gear all the time just with his emotions, is amazing, just to be, attuned. And I think that's the most amazing gift, and also attribution, to see actors who are so good at their craft. I think it's such a blessing, to have that. And I think that's what I've learned along the way, actors who are, in regular soapies are able to just work so quickly, and it's just great. I like having, the choice of emerging actors, because I like discovering new actors who have that talent, but it's also good to have acclaimed actors. Also 𝗤𝗟𝗧𝗥𝗧𝗏 who's been in the industry, like 40 years.
He's a legend.
And he is so funny, and you just have to give them a little bit of direction, and then they get it so quickly, and it saves time having acclaimed actors like that. So that's what I've learned along the way, that just actors who have that gift, and also who are on TV regularly, they're able to just switch into gear a lot quicker than up and coming.
That's fantastic. Now, I want to give the audience a little bit of a snapshot of how Joy Hopwood thinks, because I think you're very unique, okay? You're pretty much, straight stick, blunt as, you get things done. And I have to admit, from when I heard that you're like, oh yeah, I'm making my next film, oh yeah, I'm gonna write it, it's gonna be due in blah blah, you literally, that's how, whatever you say is what you exactly do, which is very, I would say, rare when it comes to the creative industries, because how many creatives do we know that they'll be like, I'm just gonna wait for the right script, I'm gonna wait for the right opportunities, I'm gonna wait for the right moment for all the stars and the zodiacs to align to finally do something. You're not that at all. Now for you, once you were done with one project, you're already thinking and getting ready to write another project. What's your thought process?
I think it's just based on experiences, things, my life hasn't always been super steady. There's ups and downs, and whenever life throws you a curveball, I do write about it. It's like therapy to write it, and like the 𝗤𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗥𝗧𝗏 character in The Gift That Gives, that character I experienced in my real life. He kept on popping up, gym and pool and this, and I'm thinking it was really annoying, and I thought, just let out that frustration. So I let out a lot of my frustrations through writing. And so The Gift That Gives started with the 𝗤𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗥𝗧𝗏 character, Lawrence, and then other things, just came out after that. But always with every film, there's always, when I'm frustrated or I've hit rock bottom, that gives me motivation to write and inspiration to have that as one of the storylines in my films. So I think, like every creative, even people who write songs, when they hit rock bottom, a form of therapy is to write a song, or just to get it out of your system, and to have films or songs out there that people can relate to. It's healing for them, and I find that's what my films do. A lot of people say that they've been through that, and to have that reassurance that I've been through that too, just makes everyone feel that they belong. So that's why. Yeah.
So for you, would you probably say that you'll be like, okay, you'll have a deadline for the script, or do you have because some people take I've heard people would take sometimes even 5 years to write a script, but for me, I feel like your turnover is like a blink of an eye or something. But what's your sort of turnaround, and then what happens to that script? And then as that script gets, I don't know, edited or something, you're looking for locations. Like, you seem to be doing like everything. Tell us about how you manage that.
Well, I like to get at least if I'm on a roll, I like to get that first draft out within a week, and then I go to 𝗤𝗓𝗓𝗏, who's a wonderful script editor who gives a structural edit, and then I work with that and keep refining it until 20 drafts later I'm happy, and then I can. I've already consulted with 𝗤𝗓𝗓𝗏, my co-producer, and she's looked at that, and then she does comments, and then she does another edit, and then we'll have a cast read, and then I always collaborate with the cast and they have their input, and then I do another edit. So there's lots of edits, but I like to collaborate and be open to what the cast has to say. And of course, I want the script to be true to the story that I began with, but also knowing that, every actor likes to take ownership with that character and paraphrase what I've written, in the draft number 12 or whatever. And so, it comes a long way. There's over probably 50 drafts in the end, but it starts off in the first 12 drafts I'm quite happy with, and then I go to get a cast read and then get their input, and then I give the cast like a week deadline to give me suggestions on how they would like to say or paraphrase those words, and then I lock that script in. So that's how I work.
Wow. But then but I also noticed that you've locked in dates to shoot, which is, I just find that, wow, you plan ahead. You're not just
plan. I am. I mean, we're planning for January, and I started like a couple of weeks ago. So it's 7 weeks of pre-production. So
wow.
I'm a real, stickler for being a planner and organized. I like being organized, and anyone who's worked with me knows that the time we start is when I like to start, and the time we finish is when I like to finish, and I don't like going overtime. And I like to do pre-production work with an actor one-on-one, and just encourage them to, if they have scenes with a brother character or a love interest character, I encourage them to go off and collaborate with them as part of the process, and then we come together. So it is a long process, but it's best to be well organized and a planner. I'm a planner. I can't work any other way.
And another great asset that you have is that you have made films and they've got distribution.
Yeah.
Or they've got like cinema screenings. Like, they're not just sort of films that are sort of like stored away for the family to watch, or it's you really put a lot of work into the distribution process. Was that like quite a challenging and journey in the very beginning, and how did you make that now sort of quite flowing?
Well, the Script of Life, once that got picked up by Amsterdam International Film Festival, then some people did approach me, and then I got it into Herflix and Leo Mark Studios, and I've built relationships with those distribution companies. So whenever I do make a film, I do go to them, or if my co-producer has other suggestions, I'm open to that, and then we try other avenues. But I'm very lucky that I've built a business relationship with Leo Mark and Bonsai Films, and I'm very grateful because they're really kind men, and I'm so happy that they know me and they know my vision, and that my stories, I want to help not only diversity, but also there's life messages. A lot of them are to do with mental health issues. And so I want to, again, just have people relate to them and heal through my films. Like I said before, people heal through songs, you know. I hope people, you know, if they're feeling down, they'll say, you know, I'm just going to put a Joy Hopwood film because I know I'm going to get that quick fix, you know, at the end. So, you know, that's what I want my films to do. They'll have a journey of their own once I'm gone, you know, and I hope they just live on.
I do like the fact that your film is something that like families can watch, you know, kids can watch. It's not something where you're like, oh, it's a bit, you know, too violent or a bit this rated and that. It's like, I think it's probably quite attractive to like distributors because the fact that it could have such a wide reach. And it's great the fact that you're putting Asian Australians at the forefront, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For people to go, actually, you can enjoy like a family friendly film, you know, feel good film as well. You know, it doesn't have to be so dark or whatever themes that, you know, or action packed, you know, like there is another genre we can go for that we've probably haven't claimed. You know, we've seen other ethnicities do it except for Asians. So I think it's such a bold move. And the fact that you're getting the traction, you know, there is a demand for your films, which is fantastic. Now, for you, you're in post-production and also in moving on to pre-production of The Gift That Gives. Like for you, what's some of your final advice for, let's say, filmmakers who want to create something like what you've done? Like what's one key thing you've realized that it's helped you time and time again, especially when times when you're feeling bleh, like as if I don't want to do this anymore? Like what's that thing that keeps you going?
I think to be open and also to collaborate with people who have the same values as yourself, and also, you know, don't underestimate yourself, or always believe in yourself and back yourself. And through hard work and determination, planning, you can get there, but it's a long slog. Like I wake up at, you know, 5 o'clock in the morning most days, and then I only exercise 6 to 7, and then I'm back into the office in the studio. So I work really hard 5 days, 6 days a week. And like I said, I have, you know, I've mentored some people, and I'm an advisor. I give advice to up and coming filmmakers, and I like to take people on the journey with me. And like I really stress, find people with the same moral compass, who the same values as yourself, because then you know that you're on the same page. If you're going in to work with people who have different value system, it's not going to work out. So that's what I've learned anyway along my journey.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Joy Hopwood, for hanging out with us on our episode 9 of Artful Impact. And I'm wishing you all the best. And we can't wait till you wrap up your Gift That Gives and then on to the next film as well. And you're probably going to be doing more of them till like forever. Yeah. And going
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.